just a young puppy compared to the great beings out there. But for any one of us who feels we've been here, done that on the earth, let's do it with humility. But let's just say maybe a lot of us have. And, you know, we would say, if I can consider myself part of that, I would say, you know, take my word for it, don't take the long way. If you know something better, if you have a chance to excel and increase your spirit, don't take the long road to get there. If you can do it quicker, go for it. Now, personal experience, personal spiritual experience, what do I mean by that? Doing something comfortable for you that feels right to you, that's not, and if it really is right, then it is of love and of humility, of knowledge. Not, oh, it feels right to me to be a bad person. Or maybe it does because you're still looking to be healed. But when you get past that, when you're no longer, I like what Michael Tamura said he's a great teacher, and he was on the Bridging Heaven and Earth show, talking about people that don't have compassion. Compassion meaning live with your suffering. With suffering. Compassion. Compassion. To be with it and to accept it, and then to learn to accept it in other people. If we're full of hate and anger and confusion, etc., needing to be healed, needing to have self-acceptance, you'll never be able to accept somebody else if you didn't have self-acceptance. A lot of things that stop us from having self-acceptance is false religion, a false education system, bad parental upbringing, etc., etc. Now, we can blame them to an extent, but even if one of these things gave us a harsh time, there's also a time to let it go. You know, what happens to a dandelion, a weed, when it gets old? It loses its yellow vibrancy, turns white, and is ready to shoot off. So do that with any anger, any hatred, or any grudges you might have. You have the power, I have the power to scatter all that into the wind. So let's think of that on that theme, to be, realize how empowered you are. I try to remind myself how empowered I am. I still have lots of weaknesses and human imperfections, very much so. And I correct myself as often as I can. And I remind myself, why am I acting like that? It's because I forgot the power I have to control it, and the power I have to be with my suffering. And I forgot to give my love, which will make me feel stronger and better. We have to forgive ourselves first, and then we can start to forgive other people. God forgave us already. One of the strong messages of the Christ was simply that. He was speaking on behalf of the divine perfect consciousness, saying, you are always loved. It is about forgiveness. You always were forgiven. Allow yourself to be. Choose to accept it to be. So when I'm talking about personal spiritual experience, I mean make something that is uniquely yours, that's not conflicting other people. They might not agree. I mean, some things I say, maybe some people won't agree with it, but I can live with that. Because what is, what I mean by that is I live with it, meaning, okay, until there is a greater understanding, a greater getting to know each other, there might be some confusion. So, you know, what I like to use for my own spirituality, the main themes, if you want to call it that, are universal and are accepted and understood by very many people here, let alone to say the great things out, the great beings and the great divinity and the great mind of gods, archangels, and the God. So as we start to get more in loving and in knowledge, love and wisdom end up becoming one, and then to really know and to really be. But the individual styles we like, let that be for each person to choose, without being blatantly offensive or challenging for no reason. You know, I don't really know what to call myself as far as putting a label, because all those labels, they themselves promote division, so I don't even know what to say. I just want to be a child of God and a loving brother to you and to everybody. You know, make it yours from the ground up, knowing the spotlight of God was always on you the whole time. So for my own practice, I like to do simple things, simple ancient things that are just as relevant in today and maybe tomorrow. You know, for example, I just had this here. I did a quick white sage smudge just before this speech. I don't do it before every talk, as the mood strikes me right, where I feel the need to be purified. So I like to use this. This was also used by the Druids in Europe, notably Western Europe. I'm talking about the well-known Celtic Druids. People are still having a time to try and find out what they were all about. A lot of things got lost. The evil empire, working through the pole of the Roman Empire, ended up wiping out the knowledge of the Druids, so a lot of people don't understand. But I could say to you, if you were there, if you were one of them, if you understand the ridiculous nature of linear time, you understand that everything is about remembering. That's what the Druids were big on. Remembering, memory. If you start to remember, then all time and space is irrelevant. It means nothing. If you were there, if you experienced something. Even if you weren't there, you can intuitively know. Not intellectualize and debate and argue. Intuitively know. And this is part of the New Age. This is part of our new adult maturation. So this here is a small bundle of white sage, used by the Druids a long time ago, and very much so today, alive and well, with Native Americans. For many, many centuries they use this. I simply take a little part off, put it in my shell, burn it, bathe and purify, wash yourself in the smoke. I don't really recommend inhaling it so much, you're just going to cough. Although some medicines say you can inhale it to clean out your lungs. You can try it, it's up to you. The point is, don't let someone come down with their angry hammer and say, no, 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 you're insulting me and my religion and this and that. What is the whole point of the talk is to make all of this very personal, that works for you, that is not really hurting anybody. If you wanted to hold a small painted white stick and walk around the forest and do a prayer, that's your business. It's not offending God. It's not harming anybody. Excuse me, and that's the point of it. You know, a lot of people talk about things that they didn't really try or they didn't really appreciate from someone's point of view, or you know, didn't really understand that most of the teachings of spirituality and religion are style preferences that one person or two people said, and then it was expected behavior for everybody else. You can only do it this way and no other else way. Who is that? Is that God? That is one person talking. Now, it can be a good way that works, and if that person wants to hand down the tradition and they take a student or they take somebody who wants to follow suit of that, nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying style and preferences are your own, and mine are my own. You know? And that's the whole point. So going from the ground up, or from the up to the down, and you start to put the two into one. The more you start to evolve into your own being and your knowledge, the more you saw God already was there meeting you wherever you were. He meets us, I say he, it doesn't really matter the word I use, but he will meet us on the level we're at, and can guide us and help us go into the places and meet the people we needed to hear or needed to help ourselves. You know? And it comes from anywhere. It's a multi-dimensional, multi-fabric, purposeful existence, this massive ocean that we're in. I remember a few years ago being very upset. I was in a relationship with a woman that wasn't working because there was some pressures of different areas, and there was a need for her to leave the country and this and that, because she wasn't Canadian where I am in Canada. Anyway, so I was kind of torn up about this, and I still like poetry a lot, but I was really into it, reading it as well as writing a lot of it. I got a lot of it out, and that's another way of your own personal spiritual experience. What is a way that you can use? If you express yourself through art, you're a painter, you express yourself through writing, you express yourself by dancing. all these things we're doing, they are spiritual. You can't say it's not spiritual, it's just a thing I do. But it is spiritual. Because it's your spirit that you always are, that is animating your body. You're doing that to figure yourself out, to express yourself. So even that is a spiritual practice. So for me, I was doing a lot of poetry. Not very good. I'm not really a good poet. I tend to try and blend too many styles at once, and then I don't really have an original style, or I'm more of an abstract guy. Even if I was a painter, I tried painting also. If I try to do a still life, my wife is good at copying or transferring in her own interpretation what she sees and doing it well. I can't do that. I'm too abstract. But yeah, so writing my not so good poetry, but the point is, it was my words and things coming out of me. And it was not for anyone else. And to put the link, the truth of my talk, it wasn't, let's say my poetry and I say myself it sucks. Maybe somebody else said, oh, that's actually not bad. Maybe someone says, oh, that's terrible, burn it. Well, those are opinions. What is it for you? How does it work for you? Your own individual experience. You know? We're so quick to compete and to be so angry with each other. You're not doing it right. That's not how you do it. This is how you do it. Where is this militaristic control coming from? Is that the spirit of God? I don't think so. That sounds like a false spirit to me. You can't tell someone if they're doing something wrong and harmful and they're really hurting another being. Yes, you can intervene and say, whoa, 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 where's the harmony, where's the love? But if it's not really affecting you, if it's not hurting anything, it's not for us to worry about, right? So, to get back to my story, I tend to go off on different tangents, but to go back to my story, writing a lot of poetry, I was hanging out at the bookstore chapters at Rideau Center a lot. Oh, people get to know me. The security guard always looked at me when I came in. I almost lived there for a while. I was looking at books, you know, spiritual books, philosophy, lots of things, poetry, lots of literature. And I was in a really bad mood. A month of a lot of self-torture. I was putting even negative music, and not very negative, but you know, cathartic, feeling the pain, trying to be with my suffering, and in turmoil, and you slowly go from anger and, you know, jerky movements, and then you start to dance with your pain, and then you nurture your pain, and then you let it go. And that's the point of compassion, being with your suffering. So I was having a very bad rainy day in my head and in my heart, and I was at the chapters. I had on, no, this particular day, I had on siesta guitar music, Spanish guitar. I love Spanish guitar very much. It's so gorgeous. I can't play guitar to save my life, but to listen to someone else. Maybe I had a recent life in Spain or who knows what, but that just calls home to me, and it's so beautiful. And so I had I didn't have iPod. This was a few years ago. I still don't have iPod. I should get one for my long walks once in a while. But it's CD Discman. Flipping through, I was thinking of traveling maybe to, and I still want to go to Peru. I think I have a past life there I'd like to remember. And flipping through, saying, oh, that'll be interesting. And but still angry and in pain. A father with a young baby came. The baby was in a stroller. And it was amazing. The baby was really full of love and wisdom. I saw it in his eyes.